Hello everyone, this is my PSA on barbiturates and depressants. So let's start with defining what they are, starting with CNS depressants. So CNS depressants are drugs that slow down your central nervous system, reduce brain activity, and cause some form of sedation, relaxation, or sleep within the user. Barbiturates, on the other hand, are still depressants, but they are a certain type. They were once widely prescribed in the early 1900s, and the difference with them is that they are extremely addictive, and that they also have a razor-thin line of error between what is considered a safe dose and a lethal dose. Examples of these drugs are phenobarbital, Xanax, Valium, Ambien, alcohol, which is the most common depressant, and GHB. Besides alcohol, most of these drugs are prescribed for anxiety, seizures, and insomnia. The danger of these drugs is that you are highly prone to misuse, physical dependence, also known as addiction, and life-threatening overdose. These drugs, as all drugs are especially dangerous when combined with other substances. And here's a video to prescribe this process.
The mechanism for how barbiturates work is fairly simple. For a neuron to fire, the inside of the cell must be positively charged. This happens when sodium channels in the cell membrane open and sodium ions rush into the neuron. This creates an electrical signal that travels down the nerve. Barbiturates slow down this signaling by making the interior of the neuron more negative. They bind to receptors, which causes chloride channels to open. Negatively charged chloride ions rush into the cell, making the inside very negative. For the neuron to send a signal, it takes more sodium ions to rush into the cell to make it sufficiently positive. This increases the time it takes to send a nerve transmission, thus slowing down the process and depressing the nervous system. Slower firing neurons dampen symptoms of mania, psychosis, anxiety, and insomnia. Brain activity is slowed, muscles become relaxed, and drowsiness or sleep is induced. Symptoms are kept at bay.
Here are some short-term effects of barbiturates and depressants. You can have slurred speech, poor coordination, extreme drowsiness, confusion, bad respiratory issues, and lowered inhibitions, which is also known as bad judgment and risk-taking. The long-term dangers of barbiturates and depressants is that you can develop a physical dependence, and your body and your brain could restructure yourself to require the drug, and withdrawal could cause a really bad issue for you. As well as if you have an addiction to a barbiturate or depressant, your tolerance buildup can become a way to feed your addiction and further put you over the line. As I said, it could cause fatal withdrawal, and unlike most drugs, stopping barbiturates cold turkey can actually cause a higher likelihood of seizures and cardiac arrest. Here's some numbers from the CDC, NIDA, and SAMHSA. Almost 14,000 overdose deaths per year involve barbiturates depressants. 10 times more likely you are to overdose when you're combining these drugs with opioids or alcohol, and 30% of all drug overdoses involve CNS depressants. Here are some warning signs of misuse: taking more than prescribed, visiting multiple doctors, also known as doctor shopping, feeling unable to function without a substance, hiding your drug use from your family or friends, mood swings and irritability, continued use despite the consequences of using it, mixing depressants with alcohol or other substances, and using someone else's prescription medication. Here are my helplines, and here are my sources. Thank you.